Good morning, everybody. This is the day that the Lord hath made. We shall rejoice, we shall sing, and we shall be glad in it. I am so glad to be back in the big chair, back in my office today. Um, Super excited about all that's going on in not only in my life, but in your life too, as well. So I trust that you're doing well. Um, Today is officially, now I know the grandparents been celebrating going to lunches. I've been seeing it on social media. Y'all been at the children's schools and all that and celebrating your grandchildren all week long, which is a wonderful thing. Some people may still be, some schools may be doing it tomorrow, but Grandparents Day really has turned into Grandparents Week. So one of the things that I always enjoy doing was after I wrote my first, it was probably the first book that I ever did on children's because I knew I was on my way out from school. So the first book was Granny, Grandpa, and Me. And I dedicated it to grandparents everywhere. And especially grandparents that were raising their grandchildren, had already raised their children, but now find themselves one situation or another of raising their grandchildren, being responsible for the great grandchildren, being a guardian of the grandchildren, even if it was just temporary. So, Granny, Grandpa, and Me. And if you go to my Facebook page, Granny, Grandpa, and Me, and Where Are Granny and Grandpa? For those grandmothers and grandfathers who have gone on to glory, that is a resource kit that I'm offering today for $15. So you can click on the link directly from my personal Facebook page. Go to Joy A. Royston on Facebook and click on the link and go directly there if you want to purchase it. And if you want to purchase it for your grandchild's school, so they'll have it in their collection, I greatly, greatly appreciate it. So to tie in with Grandparents Day, and then we're talking about, we're in the season of harvest, and I believe that even your children, grandchildren, and everything, there are a reflection and a harvest of the seeds that you have sown. So, in Paul tells Timothy, when I call to remembrance the unfeigned faith that is in thee, which dwelt first in thy grandmother Lois and thy mother Eunice, and I am persuaded that in thee also. So when Paul was getting ready to die, and he knew that he was in prison, but he knew that Timothy was one of the main pastors that was going to carry on, and he really wanted to impart in him, empower him, fortify him, uh, um, really equip him for what he was going to need for the days ahead. And so Timothy already had, though, a goodly heritage. He had some history. He had some history in the faith, in that his grandmother was in the faith and his mother was in the faith. And so, fortunately, even in my own personal life, bar Timothy in the Bible, I had the same heritage. I'm probably third, fourth generation apostolic now. So, and my uh, father's mother, I never met her. So she died before I was born, before my father was grown. He was young when she died. And so, therefore, I always wondered for so long, because the last picture we had, and I think I've told the story before, she was very, very thin, and it's because she had been sick. And if you look at my cousins, if you stand us all up, we're about the same height and we're all about the same size. I don't think we have a little girl in a real small, skinny girl in the bunch. And my dad, when I finally asked him about it, I said, how did grandmother stay so skinny? And we fluffy girls, we got it going on, And he said, "Oh, no, 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 no. That was mama when that's the last picture before mama died. Mama always was a 22, 24." I'm like, yes, yes. He said, "Mama always was plus size." Okay, so my grandfather had a thing for big girls too. So yay. So we have so it's in our genes. It continues to move forward, even though I never met the lady. But also that I know she could read, and two, she was a preacher and a prophetess. And so she prophesied over all her children like they did in the days of old. I also know that in the days of Jim Crow and definitely segregation, she attended a Pentecostal church that was predominantly Caucasian. And so, therefore, she was kind of the odd woman out, but she wanted to know the truth. And so, this is kind of my own goodly heritage going along with the scripture, but I didn't realize and didn't understand it until later that, she risked her life to be able to go to that church and to be baptized, etc. Because remember, back in that day, everything was still segregated a lot, but it was really segregated back then. So we're talking about, 40s, 50s, that time. So, and literally when they got ready to dismiss, the pastor told her, we love you, sister Etta, but when I get up to dismiss, you leave out with your children and get moving on down the highway. He said, because I don't really know these people outside the church circle. So that's kind of a horrific story, just risking your life after dark, the sundown towns, and people like, I don't know what that is. Well, let me just tell you, Black people had to be in. And those who are listening to me around the country who are not in the deep South, who don't have a clue about that, what that looks like, what that is like. My grandmother lived through that and survived. She died to illness, but she did not die of a horrible lynching or other murders. So God's protection. So I have that kind of, I identify with Timothy in that, that I have that goodly heritage, and that I have, and and I will have to tell you that when you have a goodly heritage, some of your family members lived up to it, some of them don't. Some of them, walk in the ways of their family and the way they walk, and some do not. I mean, it's a choice. We're, as my first pastor used to say, we're free moral agents, so we can still choose and select the which way we were going to go. So, and then sometimes our history or our forefathers or our family members, you have to take into account the opportunities that they had, the teachings that they had, and their perspective, their background, where they came from. Because my grandparents and great grandparents were, just either born in slavery or one step removed, one generation or less removed from slavery. So therefore, there are opportunities for learning, education. There are opportunities for the limited teaching that they had, word of mouth and oral history and oral teaching, and the opportunity that they had for coming together for church, has sometimes it's skewed and sometimes it's different. Now, let's just, the disclaimer, I'll put that out there, like, oh, well, that was back then, we don't have to do it now. God is still right. And, and loving him and following him is still right. But when I say perspective, when I say back, I can buy a car. I'm a woman and can hold down a position and a job that people, I'm not talking about God, Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today, forever. The word don't change. The methods do, and the strategies will, but the word doesn't change. So that's not an out for anyone, including myself. But that's the ability to understand that the perspective, the way the word moves, the way the world moves, is totally different. My family members were thumbing rides and hopping on the back of pickup trucks to get where they're trying to go, because everybody didn't have a car. And what a beeper, what was that? A pager, what was that? That whole party line, whatever. I don't even know what that's like to pick up the phone and somebody else is on it and you need to use it. And what? We sharing phones? What you mean? My parents did that. So we had two lines for business and going through the house. But what in the world? So your opportunities, your teachings, your perspectives, you got to understand where they came from. And a lot of that they hid because they don't have social media. They didn't have social media. They didn't have the World Wide Web. So you got to consider that too as well. But Paul, what he talks about to Timothy, his goodly heritage, unfeigned faith, unwavering faith, strong faith, big faith. There's a big faith. My mother on my grandmother on my mother's side was big. You needed prayer. You ain't got to go no church nowhere. She had her Bible and her oil in her purse. That purse was so heavy. You think, what's in there? But a huge bottle of oil, blessed oil, was in there, and her Bible was in there, so she had her word and her oil at any time. You need the Holy Ghost. You want to tarry? Boom. Uh, 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 my grandmother Addie Bela Spencer, she was ready for you, baby. Wasn't nothing but a time and opportunity. That's all it was. So it just the unfeigned faith. So I had people on both sides of my family that had strong faith, big faith. Worship leaders, teachers, preachers, pastors. That's just what we do. That's who we are. And even our when my youngest sister has gone and done our genealogy, throughout history. Some of the family members we may never know and never know who they are, but they were preachers and teachers and worshipers. So, so we have a goodly heritage. Happy Grandparents' Day. But then we have some remembrance. We remember everything. But some of those things are warnings. Some family members, they were warnings for us, the things that they did. You didn't want to go down that road because the third thing is you had some decisions to make. So first is your history. You know where you came from, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then you have to take into consideration, not to give them out, but opportunities, teachings, their perspectives. And then we honor who they are because we honor who they are because they're family. We didn't get to pick them. God picked them and put them all in the family together. So whether you're happy for your family, embarrassed for your family, mad about your family, oh my God, you still have to remember them and understand who they were. But sometimes there is a warning that comes with it that I have a young person now who says no, warning him about we're warning about don't touch alcohol, and he said no, my family history has a thing with the alcohol thing, so I'm not really even wanting to try that because I've seen the effects of that. And I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of good. You understand that's a part of your maybe your family history, addictive nature, whatever you've seen, what that is like. But of course, be warned because there'll be jealous people because they'll be trying to pressure you and force you, that whole 9 yards. So there's warnings that go along with it, that family history is to alert you and let you know, oh, stop. Whoa, don't do that. Go down the other road. Oh, Big Mama already told us about that. Granddaddy, Papa already told us about that. So there should be warnings. And then you're still a free moral agent, so you still have decisions to make. Because you can repeat the same cycle. You can repeat the same behaviors over and over again, or you can decide to go to another way. And then finally, you do stand on their shoulders. So I was at a family friend gathering yesterday, and I hadn't seen some of these people in a long time. And when I walked out the door to greet them outside, they were like, "Ooh, there's Jack Forey again. There he is. He's walking out the door." Well, it wasn't really literally him, but because I looked the most like him, act the most like him, probably talk the most like him, that's the reason why they saw him again. So I stand on his shoulders. I stand on my mother's shoulders, even though I physically don't look anything like her. I'm a lot like her, but I may not physically look like them, but I stand on their shoulders of not only my own biological parents, but my grandparents, extended family members, people I call godmother, other people I call mom for short. Just I stand on their shoulders. I seek to make them proud. I seek to not only make them proud, but myself proud. But I seek to continue to move forward. And hopefully with the power of God that's in me, the power of God directing me, and my husband and the family members around me, I should have better sight, insight, and hopefully foresight for a brighter future. Ooh, that was a lot, wasn't it? So we stand on their shoulders, and hopefully, because of our history, our past, the things to remember, the things that we know, and hopefully we're asking those questions, we will have better sight. Not only these two eyes or me, four eyes with glasses, or I have some insight as well as some foresight so that we can have a brighter future. Happy Grandparents' Day. Remembering my grandparents today. And I trust that you all celebrate your grandparents every day. And remember the grandparents resource, the two books, Granny, Grandpa, and Me, honoring grandparents that are actually raising their grandchildren, and then where Granny and Grandpa. That is remembering them throughout the entire year or so. Go to my link on Facebook, my personal page. Click on the link and order your copies today. Today, two for $15. So, and I'll be happy to ship them out to you. So, I trust that helps you. I trust that blesses you. I trust that you think about your heritage. You have a goodly heritage. Think about it. Even the parts that may not be so. Even those of you who have been adopted. Even those of you who you feel like you've been abandoned. You've been, I don't know why they gave me up. That goes back to opportunities, teaching, perspective, what they were thinking. But you're here. You're still alive. And you're able to move forward. And then not only take the heritage that you have, turn it around, add a new chapter, and change the narrative, and move forward to a much brighter future. So, speaking of brighter futures, living your best life comes up at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time right there on envision-radio.com, where praise meets talk. And then 11 a.m., Mr. Spike Davis and Friends show. Tune in for Laughs, Music, and More. And then Tuesdays, the Book Business Boss Show, Tuesdays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right where? On envision-radio.com. The replays are the Book Business Boss podcast.com as well. So we have a upcoming wonderful week ahead. If you are interested in publishing and having a conversation with me, be sure to go to talkwithroyston.com. That's talkwithroyston.com. Now, it is getting imperative that you get on my calendar. I love it. People have my phone number and you can call me and leave me a message, but I'm probably going to respond to you a message back that says, go to talkwithroyston.com, get on my calendar so we can have a conversation. Why? Because that I live and die pretty much by my calendar these days. So I have the opportunity to be settled, to be my Wi-Fi to be strong, or a Zoom call, whatever we need to do so that we can have a conversation. But I'm dedicated to that and not in transportation, planes, trains, and automobiles. So let's have a conversation at talkwithroyston.com. And then coming up this week is a busy week. It's a busy week. Busy week. It's been a busy month already. I had the opportunity to be in Montgomery, Alabama, and super excited about all I learned and what all the people I met and everything that transpired concerning federal programs and all in the educational system. So I'm diving deep and understanding even more. So thank you for the opportunity to be there. And then this coming week, September 15th to the 17th, BK Royston Publishing will have two booths, 127 and 129. So look for us at the Billtown Road entrance on the other end, at the very, very far end. Really, they tell me that's the entrance, but I never know. So it just all depends on when you come up, whether you're coming up from the other end of Main Street right there at the firehouse or the Billtown Road. So if you're in the Jeffersontown, J-Town area, hopefully it should be a phenomenal weekend. So booth 127 and 129 at Gaslight Festival. Now I'll be there Friday the 15th to set up and Sunday the 17th to tear it down. I'm going to slide up to Indianapolis on that Saturday for the She Experience, and specifically the She Reads Pavilion or area for authors. We'll have a panel. Look for us from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. in Indianapolis. So I'm sliding up there for the She Experience. Looking forward to it. Never been up there before, so I'm really, really looking forward to that. Meet us at the Indianapolis Convention Center, and that's on September 16th. So I skip a weekend. I've got, as they say, some family business to take care of on the 23rd because that's Mr. Royston and I's 17th wedding anniversary. Yay! We'll be married 17 years on September 23rd. So we're doing family stuff that weekend. But then after that, September 30th, Black Child Book Fair in Memphis, Tennessee will be at the Benjamin L. Hooks Central Library at Memphis Public Library on Saturday, Saturday, September 30th. So meet us there. I love that library. I'm looking forward to seeing the renovations that they've done. Whoo! I think I've done all the announcements through the end of September. I'm Dr. Julia Royston of BK Royston Publishing, Oreo Media and Publishing, and the Book Business Bosses, where we help you get your message to the masses, turn your words into wealth, and be a book business boss. You all be blessed. Happy Grandparents' Day. Bye-bye.